Hey everyone, it's Catherine Ewing from Emotional Freedom at Last. So I'm going to get really vulnerable with you in this video today. I wrote a blog and somehow, for some reason, I just decided that I wanted to speak to you about what's in the blog because it's very powerful and it was challenging for me to write. A number of years ago, more than 10 years ago now, I made a commitment to myself to be as honest and transparent and vulnerable as I could be in my life. I really wanted to live my life with integrity and impeccability. In other words, I wanted to walk my talk and be really conscious about being the kind of person that I wanted to be, so that there were no misalignments or disconnections or places where I was hiding or not being fully open. And that's a pretty big challenge, and I have certainly not perfected it, but I've gotten better at it over the last 10 years or so. And particularly when I was ordained in 2005 on the shore of the Sea of Galilee, which was a pretty amazing experience, I recommitted to that intention. And so I stated, to myself and before my fellow seminarians and those who were actually doing the ordination process, and certainly before God, that I was now making this vow to live as a spiritual peacemaker. And for me, honesty and transparency and vulnerability were part of that vow and commitment. So you know that when you make a commitment to yourself, you really make a commitment to the universe. And especially if you state it out loud. And sometimes these commitments are really positive statements of things that you want to create in your life. And sometimes they're not so much. I'm never going to do that again, or I'm never going to open my heart again, or I'm never going to love like that again. And we make those statements without realizing that it's like a contract with the universe. And in its loving way, the universe will hold us to those commitments and those contracts. And sometimes the way that shows up in our lives doesn't feel so loving or doesn't feel like such a gift. It often shows up in the form of other people or situations or life circumstances that are very challenging. And we have a tendency, I will take ownership for this, I have a tendency to want to blame the other people or the circumstance or the situation for my perceived pain and suffering. And one of the things on my spiritual path that I am really working at and paying attention to, and it has to do with this idea of being vulnerable and transparent and honest, is to then turn that around, and really look at, okay, where is the universe giving me an opportunity to grow and step more deeply into the commitments and the contracts that I have made, right? So this is like the universe holding a big mirror up to me through these other people or circumstances to say, okay, what just got triggered in me, and why did that get triggered? And what is it within me that's calling out for more love and more healing? And it isn't always easy to do. It really takes a commitment to your own spiritual practice and your own spiritual growth to be able to do this, to really look at what am I still holding in my energy field that needs love and healing, rather than pointing the finger and the finger of blame at, outside of yourself, externalizing it and making it be about someone or something else. Because when we do that, it really blocks our ability to go deep into our own healing, which I believe we need to do if we want to grow spiritually and personally. So the reason I'm sharing this today is because I have just come out of, still in the process of coming out of, a very deep about month-long, little more than a month-long period of doing some very deep healing. And it's been very challenging. It's been very painful, very sad, to the point where I was seriously considering letting go of my practice and my business and going and getting a real job. The combination of doing this deep work, having to look at some really old and even past life issues that were coming up again to be healed, you know, on top of the challenges of being a business owner and everything that comes along with that, and some family issues all coming up at the same time, created sort of this perfect storm for me. And, you know, I went down the rabbit hole. I was in, you know, kind of a dark place for a while. And I'm not making light of that. Honestly, I've tried to make this video twice already, and I've just broken into tears and haven't been able to continue. So this is, you know, this is the third time through here. So, you know, I'm not quite as emotional as I talk about it. But anyway, the blog today is really about how we can navigate our way through these difficult times when these challenges show up in our lives, and really see them as opportunities for growth instead of falling into a victim or a poor me place. And I use myself as an example. And this is my commitment to my path, sort of walking my talk of honesty and transparency and vulnerability as best I can. So that's all I'll say about that. And I hope you take some time to read the blog. It's, you know, it's fairly lengthy. I'm not somebody who just does, here's 3 bullet points or here's 5 steps. My blogs tend to be longer and take a little more time and commitment to read. But I hope you will take the time and make the commitment to read this today, because I think it's such important work that all of us are being called to do at this time. And I hope that by sharing my journey in an open and honest and transparent and vulnerable way, it will support you as you move through your own journey. And certainly, if there is any way that I can support you, please be in touch. I love to hear from you. I love to hear your stories and your comments and your thoughts after reading the blogs. And I love you and I appreciate you, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the support that you have shown me. Oh no, 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 no.